Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the best of the best, Mr. Jason Pritchard. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Zuber, how are you?
I'm doing well. What I wanted this final video to be is just a look at us individually,
Okay.
right? I think when you look macro, right, the economy, the housing market, unemployment rates, crash, there's a lot of negativity going on at the macro level.
Yeah,
But you and I need to make micro decisions.
correct.
I need to make micro decisions for Olivia and I. You make micro decisions for you, Jennifer, and your business. And I think they are vastly different.
Hmm.
Macro, it's going to be a rough 18, 24 months. Micro, I have this sneaky suspicion that the next 18 to 24 months might be the best 24 months for Jason Pritchard in his investing career.
I agree.
I think for Michael and Olivia, it's going to be okay. We're not in that growth phase. We're not doing as much clearly as you, but it's not going to suck for us either, because we both see opportunities. We're both brave enough to pivot. We will try new things, and I'm selfishly ecstatic for what is coming. I'm not sure about you.
Yes, I am too. And I think we always talk about the importance of mindset. And this is a scenario, guys, where mindset is going to be so important, because I would be lying to you if I told you that I didn't have reservations or even fears that pop up into my head. I think it's natural when you're dealing with this, right? In our first video, we were talking about, we have now 30 plus different projects in different stages in our books, right? And so when you get to a space where you have all this growth, right, but then you look around and it's negative, 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 right? I think it's natural to start saying like, oh man, am I doing the right thing? Is this, are we over leveraged? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? So I would be dishonest if I was telling you in the audience that I don't have those types of thoughts, right? But one of the things that I've learned is that I feel like all of the big breakthroughs that I've had in my life, right? It's when you feel kind of this pressure and these types of things coming on, and it's learning how to lean into that pressure and just accept that if order for me to become and get to the next level, I've got to be a different version of myself. The version of Jason that was doing 5 or 10 houses is not the same version of Jason that's doing 25 or 30 houses right now, right? And in order for me to break through, I've got to really lean into that, right? But we've got to do it in a way where we're not being like reckless or irresponsible either. And that's the balance, right? So it's not just like, rah, let's just go and push through and everything will be okay. I think there's got to be strategic business decisions that happen, but also layering that on top of realizing and understanding all the work that we've done to get here. It's now we're getting the result that we wanted, right? We did want growth. We did want all these things. So here it is, right? Now, when you get into this new stage of growth, there's going to be some of this fear. How do we reconcile that and break through in a way that's responsible, that sets us up for wins on the other side of it, man? So it's a lot of things that are going on at the same time. And now's the time. I think the word that I was using is being cautiously optimistic, right? I think cautious optimism right now is the thing. I'm really excited for the things that are on deck, but we've got to do it in a way that's also responsible for ourselves and our businesses.
When I look at what I expect you and I to be doing over the next 24 months, I think what will separate us from most is we are not afraid to kind of crunch up what we've done the last 2 years and throw it away. So I spoke at a meetup or a large event in Southern California about a month ago, and I opened my presentation with the following. This is a room of like 500 investors like you, right? At different levels, but committed, right?
Yep.
And I said, do me a favor, take the next 3 to 5 minutes to write down all the amazing things that have happened the last 2 years. Right, all your deals, all your wins, how you did it, blah blah. Just brag on yourself, right? So they did that. They all took a piece of paper out and wrote it down. And the punchline was I had them rip it out. I then had them ball it up, and I had them throw it in the air, because everything you've done the last 2 years is probably not going to work the next 2 years. That doesn't mean the next 2 years are going to suck. It just means they're different. Your conversations will be different. You may be talking to sellers like there's like Ty told me about a lady in Central Valley who bought a new home 9 months ago and now is getting divorced, and she needs to go back home with her parents in Texas. Well, you know what? That's a sub-2 deal that we really probably don't have the DNA or the experience. it's still going to work, right? You got a 2.7% 30-year mortgage. We can figure it out. Or we're going to have people that, hey, tried to sell, right? Move up buyer is broken. Maybe we can do seller financing, 50, 40, 10s. The next 2 years are just going to be different. And it's going to be the people like Jason, who has already told us he's changing what he's buying. He's changing how he's dispositioned. It's those people that aren't so egotistical to realize that, no, this will hurt you if you don't change. Those are going to be the people that win. They will win first. They will reduce any losses if anything's going to happen in work and kind of inventory. And they're going to be so much. There will be people, Jason, that you and I think are pretty good at this business in the Central Valley that won't be in the business in 2 years.
I agree. And so here's where I think there's a big area of opportunity for myself and my team, just speaking about what I know in regards to how we've done business. So looking back in 2022 and even further back, I've always had kind of a 50-50 balance of where my deals came from, right? So about 50% of the time prior to 2022, my deals were coming from our network, right? So people that I know, friends and family, other investors, wholesalers we'd buy stuff from, real estate agents that knew that I was in the business. And then the other 50% was coming from some form of direct to seller marketing, right? This year, it's really more like 70, 30, 75, 25 that has come from my network, right? And this is something that I've seen with other investors that I'm directly connected with, is that a lot of these marketing avenues that really worked well 2, 3, 4 years ago, text messaging, cold calling, those types of things, they're just not working as well for a number of different reasons. One of them is just there's, more people doing it, right? So there's going to be more competition. I think the tech companies are cracking down, especially on texting, on how those messages are going through. So that's becoming less and less viable. But I think what you're going to see is the people that stay committed to the marketing that's working, right? Those people that you just said earlier that are in the business right now, but in a year or two are not going to be in the business, everybody that sticks with their marketing, right? I think there's going to be a lot more opportunities that come from them, okay? And so for a guy like Jason, who has spent so much time branding myself as somebody in Central California that buys fixer-uppers, it's actually going to be a compounding effect, because I'm going to continue to get more deals from my network. That's not going to stop. That's actually only going to get bigger, right? And as long as we stay on top of our marketing and we really double down on the channels and the avenues that are working, as those kind of fly-by-night people get washed out, or the people that just aren't built for this business long-term, we're going to see growth there too. So I'm actually expecting to see a big kind of upward spike in our deal flow overall. And it's going to be fun, right? So now's the time to kind of position ourselves properly for that extra inventory. Now, everybody else's situation is going to be different, but I do think that you're going to see just more and more opportunities because of those people that are either just in it for a quick buck or were just not built to last over the long term. They're going to go out, and it's going to leave a lot of stuff there on the table for guys like you and me.
Yeah. And again, I think the other thing that's very important is I think if we look at like your transactions at the December of 2023 and you compare them to the transactions you did in 2021, I'm going to just wild ass guess it that you bought them different ways, right? In 2021, it was probably very likely cash and quick
cash,
close.
private lending. Yes. All of that. Yeah.
And I think in 2023, it would not shock me if some of the opportunities that come your direction are more seller financing or just other ways, right? You may see your Airbnb or your rentals. I actually expect, this is one thing I expect, and I actually put out a video trying to tell everybody in Fresno I'm still buying. I'm actually, Jason, I have a crazy ass idea. I want to buy a Park Place or Boardwalk in Fresno. What does that mean?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about buying somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million property in Fresno. Okay. Dude, I have none of my rentals are north of 300 grand. None of them. I've always bought the stuff that cash flows. Here's the deal. I believe the move up market is dead. I think it is going to be even deader into between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but sometimes people have to sell. Yeah. And, I did the math, like, let's say there's an $800,000, it's livable, but it's not perfect, but they've lived there forever. They're going to move out or whatever. They can't sell it because they can't let it go for $600K cash. Yeah. Right. Because somebody like you will offer $600K cash. What if Mike Zuber comes in and offers them 800? So I give them their mental number And then I say something like, you know what? I'll give you 80K now, 10 grand or 10% real money, maybe 20% if I had to. But then we work out the structure on the payment. And I'm going to tell them, hey, I need to cash flow day one. I need this to go for 15 or 20 years minimum. And then at the end, I'll just give you a big balloon payment because I'm willing to bet that Fresno comes back in 15 or 20 years. I would
agree.
But if I can get a boardwalk or park place in Fresno with seller financing by giving them their number, why wouldn't I do that deal? Cash flows day one, fixed debt below 3-4%, whatever. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get one of those to prove it's possible.
I think, and that speaks to the point of what we were talking about in some of our earlier discussions today, is just looking at these problems through a different lens, and how do we come up with a creative solution that wasn't necessarily something that would have worked in the last, 18, 24 months.
It wouldn't work because they threw it on the market and they got 10 offers.
So why would anybody ever do that? It doesn't make sense. So it's not going to be a tool that you're going to pull out of your toolbox because it doesn't make sense. But things have changed, right? And now we've got to figure out, like, hey, there's another way to solve this problem, right?
I mean, if I had the druthers, I would get a virtual assistant in the Philippines and call every listing, I don't know, over 600 grand that's 90 days on market.
Yeah.
And then you could use PropStream to figure out, hey, who's got the equity. And dude, I could do a 90-10, right? 90% seller financing 10. I even have a 50-40-10 guy lined up. I could give them 60% if they take a small 40%. I mean, lots of things you could do. And again, this did not work the last 2 years. I think there's a chance I could 1031 out of all of my cheap rentals into Boardwalk and Park Place with seller financing deals that give me more cash flow, better cash on cash, just a different, tenant pool. I mean, it's a crazy idea I have.
No, I think it's great. And I think the underlying thought process is what I would encourage the people watching this video to take away. Having a willingness to adapt is very important, guys. Right. And one of the things that I pride myself, and it always irked me when I was in corporate America, right? Because it was like the places, the companies that I worked at, it was very much like, well, this is kind of how we always done it. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the way we've always done it, blah, 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 blah. And that always frustrated me. Right. And one of the reasons why I wanted to just own my own business is I want to be able to make changes when I see like, hey, this is a change that I want to make. Right. And so I've always prided myself on my ability to adapt. And I've adapted multiple times over the course of the last 7-8 years that I've been involved in real estate. Right. Because the things that I was doing at the beginning just are not things that are working right now, guys. And you can't get married to these business practices or these avenues or whatever of finding projects and deals that just will probably not work in this next market cycle. Not probably, that will not work. You know what I mean? And so I think you have to be willing to be flexible in the way that you approach these deals and be willing to sit down and come up with creative solutions to solve these problems. And if you're that kind of person and you're around other people that do that and you're having conversations like this, you'll be able to get there, guys. And so, I encourage you to do that.
Yeah. And again, I want to give full credit where this inspiration came from. Again, I've been studying real estate for a long time. Robert Allen wrote some books in the early 80s talking about silent seconds and all of these things. Again, we are going through an environment that really hasn't happened since 80 and 81. So I've bought books out of print. I've spent hundreds of dollars on books that are 40 years old because I want to know what was working back then. And I really do. I really think this will be something that I prove works. I just believe it like you do. You believe it. You make it happen. But again, what did I do? I looked at what I think is changing. The move up market in Fresno's dead. Luxury's dead. Right? Do the math, right? $1 million loan in Fresno at 3% is a decent loan, but people in Fresno can afford it. You take the rate to 7%, you're talking about a $10,000 or $11,000 mortgage payment. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So again, I'm looking for where the pain is and then how I could go fish there. And that's how I came up with this. I know it's going to work. The question is how many over the next couple of years. So I think what this goes is you're going to do a lot of amazing transactions. I think the transactions done in 23 are just different than
correct.
And you and I will see it. We'll adapt. There'll be a lot of people that are stuck in 2021. And best case, they're going to limp along. Worst case, they're going to be out of business.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think right now is the time to really double down, guys, on these fundamental things that we know are true: work ethic, mindset, your network, all this stuff that we constantly talk about. That's going to be the foundation of what the next iteration of your business is going to look like, guys. So if you build anything on a strong foundation off those principles, I feel like you're setting yourself up to be successful. So yeah, I'm excited, dude. I think it's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Where can people find you?
Instagram and Facebook are the two places where I'm most active, guys. If you just put my first and last name in either one of those platforms, it'll pop up. If you've got questions or anything that I can help out with, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.